Roll call. Council at Large Boots.
Here.
At Large Spear.
Here.
Council Ward number 1 Leeper.
Here.
Ward number 2 Anderson.
Here.
And Ward number 3 McNeil.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, looking over the agenda, are there any additions to the agenda? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve this agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Booth with the first,
Second.
and Anderson with the second.
McNeil?
Yes.
Boots?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Leeper?
Yes.
All right, moving on to the communications. If there's anybody that wants to address the city council, you may please make your way to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Hi.
Hi.
Good to see you. My name's Joan Blundell, and I've been a resident of Tipton for over 5 years now. And I come to you wearing two hats. I was the director of the Rural Community Mental Health Center for 9 counties in Northwest Iowa, as well as an appointee of Governor Branstad to work on the Rural Health Committee for over 10 years, looking at the variety of health problems we face as a state with our health shortage areas. I also was one of the first to develop critical incident debriefing teams for fire, police, and emergency care providers in the state for many years. That's the professional hat, but that's not what brings me here tonight. About 2 months ago, I had to call 911 to receive emergency services. I'm happy to say that 2 volunteers arrived within 10 minutes. Matt McCall and Connie Kessler were marvelous. We did have a shift change going on. 10 minutes later, Brad had to come because of my elevated blood pressure and the need for medication. Also, the fire department and police were there. And I'm happy to say that if someone could have filmed that, they would have seen a beautiful integration of services. And that's something to be proud of and something that I'm very grateful for. I was lucky in that my emergency came at a time when there wasn't a second one, and that providers could get there as quickly as they could. In my 2 months of recovery, I've done some research, and it appears that the situation has deteriorated from when I was most involved with the statistics on state emergency services. But when I saw that in Tipton, 20.8% of our population were over 65, and the state average was 14.9. That says something about your larger than average high-risk group that are going to be making use of those services. When we look at the healthcare providers, we find it's 2.9%, state is 5.1. Now, why is that important? It's important because it means that you have a high-risk population with fewer local healthcare providers in the county, which puts a stress on the system that's much greater than the state average. It also means that your pool of volunteers is less because physically people over 65 may not be able to make some of the demands of those calls as a volunteer. It also means that with that level of population, If you don't get to a service quickly, you are more likely to have an unfortunate outcome. Now, why is that important? Because of home ownership and vacancies of housing and property values. A healthy community recognizes that all of these things are intertwined and that we have to do all that we can to buttress our services, whether it be police, whether it be emergency services, whether it be public health. This is what keeps our communities strong and vital. And it keeps our moms or our wives or our sisters alive to be productive, tax-paying citizens in the county. I am very sensitive to the challenges that public servant leadership has. You've got a lot of challenges, and you've got finite resources to deal with. But all that we can do to plan for a situation where those statistics are probably in the near future going to increase in their challenges is important. The greatest danger is not having enough volunteers and enough paid professional staff where you have a situation where burnout can increase. You can have staff instability and turnover and not have the resources to write the grants that you need to get the money to finance the equipment and the paid staff that you need. It's not just responding to a call. It's making sure the training is there, the state regs are met. And even though I am very proud and happy of what I experienced that day 2 months ago, I realize how vulnerable that system is. Now, I have grown to love Tipton, and I'm very proud of it. And I hope that we can find a way to raise up the wonderful services we have now to meet the needs that we have in the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. All right. Anyone else? Seeing that there is none, we'll move on to the next part, which is the consent agenda, which only has one item in it today, which is the city council minutes from December 19th. Is there anything about this that needs to be discussed? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Spear with the first,
No second.
and Boots with the second.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
McNeil?
Yes.
Boots?
Yes.
All right. And then moving down to letter I, which is the resolutions for approval. We have one resolution, which is the Iowa Income Offset Collection Program and a seals process. Mr. Long?
Thank you, Mayor. Some time back, the council did approve the utilization of the Iowa Income Offset Program to help in capturing fines, fees, and unpaid utility bills through the state's program. We determined a little over a week ago that in addition to just approving the acceptance of the terms of that program, we also have to have an appeals process in place. So what you have in front of you here is a resolution adopting an appeals process that has been vetted by other communities who also are implementing this program. So this provides the lawful means by which a person who feels he's been unjustly done for some past due bill or fine the opportunity to appeal it. So that's what we have in front of us.
Any questions on that? Is there a motion to approve this?
I'll make that motion.
Boots with the first, and McNeil with the second.
Boots?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Spear?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
McNeil?
All right, so that passes. The next one up is a consideration of approval of a quote for a city computer and telephone.
Here's those.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one. The claims list. Is there anything on the claims list that needs to be pulled out to discuss? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
Also moved.
Anderson with the first,
Second.
and Spear with the second.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil,
Yes.
Boots,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
All right, so that passes. Now on to the next one, which is a computer and telephone upgrade quote from ITP.
I can defer
Yes.
to Brad.
Mr. Ratliff, would you make your way to the podium?
As you guys remember here, probably about a month ago, we released, the council authorized the release of the RFQ, the request for quote for a high-speed internet and telephone edition. We received back 2 responses, one from Arion Communications and the other one from ITP, Integrated Technology Partners out of Wilton. And they actually would like to split the work. Arion would really like to focus in on the on the telecommunications and high-speed internet side. And ITP really wanted to stick with doing the actual implementation of the hardware and the switching of our current phone branch exchange system. I'm actually really feeling positive about this quote. You will see that there's a authorization in there. I want to say it's approximately $11,000. To keep it really short and sweet, because I know how much you guys like hearing from me. There's going to be some labor that needs to be added on in order to make this change. The phone system has to be upgraded from its analog lines to a digital line set. Our fax machines will have to take some significant updates to them, their one-cost fees. Most of the things here I feel are actually fairly simple upkeep, in all honesty, that will help us actually reduce costs over time. I think it's the next agenda item, but the overall cost of our telecommunications is going to reduce. The quote that Arion provided to us for a full PRI, which is 25 consecutive phone sessions over a fiber line, as well as for a 20 megabyte up, 20 megabyte down consecutive high-speed internet speed, would be approximately $941 a month, if my mind's serving me correct without it in front of me. But that would be a massive consolidation. Right now we're looking at about $2,000 a month is what the city's paying out. Now that said, there are some additional costs that you should all know about. We're still worried about the off-premise exchange lines, those OPX lines that we spoke about. One of the large struggles is any time with the company that the city does its telecommunications work with, it's very difficult to get them to commit and tell us where those magical lines go. So once we know that we want to go forward with this, the next part of the conversation is we need to find out where all these lines go and see what more we can consolidate down. My goal is to eliminate those lines entirely at their dramatic cost of between $100 and $200 a line per month. However, there are some lines that are critical and be required to stay in place by code. The fire department is one area that we've got one of those lines with their fire system. The electrical department has another one of those, and so does the water department. We're going to take another look at those with Arion's engineering team to see if there's alternative options. One of them being, can we just purchase those OPX lines from them rather than from our current provider to consolidate costs and get just one bill instead of 6, 8, whatever it is. And I think that that'll be a nice chunk of change that we'll be talking about as well. What about this?
Discussion on the hardware installation for ITP, sort of a time frame.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, in my experience, Arion's a company that used to be known as NetINS for the state of Iowa, if you guys remember these days. It shows how old I am, apparently. Back in the days of Iowa Telecom and NetINS, those were the 2 large providers. NetINS is this large conglomeration some people would consider a co-op. And it changed names and got bought out by a company called Arion, which has continued its services and expanded them aggressively. Anytime you do a fiber line with them where they're dragging from, if you know where the courthouse is, just northeast of it, there's a white building, and that's the central pot for all fiber lines in Cedar County. They're going to be borne from there to Cedar County, Cedar County, but to the city of Tipton. what NetINS or RN will request is a 120-day waiting period from the point you sign the contract to the point that they have fiber ran to your building. There is a little bit of give and take on that. What they look for is the ground temperature and how difficult it's going to be to bore that initial conduit through. After that, it usually sits for a couple of weeks while they do testing on the fiber to make sure everything's up and running. What I have learned with RN Communications is by the time you're switching everything over, there's no hiccups. Cedar County's doing one right now with the mayor's office, and when the gentleman presented that I'm scared that you guys are going to go down for a while, I said, well, like what, a day, 2 days? And I'm thinking 10 minutes.
Oh.
Get over it. That's my experience with this company. Very, very fast. They have clear objectives and goals. And the nice thing is, when I've worked with this, and what I would propose we do if you guys chose to go and consider this offer, would be we start doing kickoff meetings. My first meeting is with RN Communications and ITP and myself, and we just sit through, go through the quotes and make sure everything's there. Primarily the biggest reason is I don't like surprise costs any more than you guys do. And that way I can come back and say, this is the number, down to the penny. And once we get that all hashed out, we do another meeting about another couple weeks down the road. And we go through the exact game plan. This is what we're going to do. This is the timeline that we're going to do it. This is when we need this vendor here. This is when we need this vendor here. This is the time that we're going to do it. The next meeting is when their engineer comes in and they say hello. We do a quick walkthrough, make sure everything's still hunky-dory. The engineer usually says, I like to change this and this. Life is good. And then lastly, the day before, we have one last conversation that says we're going to take down the phone system for a limited time where they make this massive transition. And it's very successful. I have had very few problems doing these types of events with this company. I feel quite confident in that. I think overall we're going to see a dramatic savings on phone and internet. But just as importantly, we're going to see less downtime with our current internet speed, which would probably increase productivity. Now, did I get everything?
I think so.
Okay.
And just to clarify, Brad, are you suggesting a council preliminary approval of the Orion agreement pending further and final review of the terms of the contract, or is the contract sufficient to approve?
Unless you guys had an objection, I would feel very comfortable with the contract that Orion has. It's very standard. The nice thing is Orion holds themselves accountable. If the fiber line gets cut, they have 2 hours to fix it. That's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and all calendar days. And they're very good at reacting to that. I would be very comfortable with getting the process going with Orion immediately, because we know we're going to have a 120-day waiting period. The ITP part, that is one that it will take them a couple of weeks to order in the hardware. I think that's up to you guys on when you would feel comfortable. What's the word I'm looking for?
Approving
yes.
the contract?
Yeah, approving such contract. But I do feel that they are the correct vendor for this project.
Brett, go ahead.
This will be to City Hall, and then to the fire department, police department.
Oh, I'm sorry. So currently, we're going to consider City Hall as the central hub for all of our fiber lines, for the lack of better terms or illustrations. The fiber line feeds Public Works, ambulance, fire department. It also feeds the pool, which we'll talk about in a moment. It does not feed the library. This project would include everything except for the pool, part of the pool, and the library. The pool would be very easy to switch over their current internet connection. Simple flick of a wire, we're off to the races. The challenge that the pool presents is that it has its own separate phone system than what the rest of the city has. In order to consolidate this down with their 3 phone lines that they have, we would have to look at running some additional wire and replacing their current phones. We would not be required to put in a new phone system there. The cost of the project for that is anticipated between $4,000 and $5,000. And that could be a project that we bid out with other companies. It could be a project that we continue to bid with this project as well. But there is that average cost for that. The library is the most challenging one. Being in an IT business before, I always said there are projects that you make your money on, there are projects that you lose your money on. And the library is the challenge of challenges. And the reason being is because of the age of the building and the structure of it itself. It's very difficult to hide wires in that building and able to move it with all their great angles that they have. My proposal to the council would be to consider in the future adding a wireless bridge between the two using some sort of ubiquities, the manufacturer access points to do so. It would be a far less expensive product than putting in a fiber line, and then we'd be able to enter in the building using new networking cable and add them on. And the same would go, we'd upgrade their phone system, their phones, which they're using just a standard home phone there. That's 2 lines if I remember right, and we do their internet. They have 2 internet connections there at this point. I think we'd see a reduction in cost, but there is a higher startup cost on that because of that increase or that need for those point-to-point bridges. And that's going to be a couple thousand just to put in those 2 units and microwave them together. So those are the 2 extra projects. I guess there is one third one. The electrical department's obviously included in this. We would have to consider looking at the new power plant on how to, or substation, I'm going to say it wrong. Substation? Substation. Okay. We'd have to look at that. I think it's something, though, that Floyd and I can sure look at some solutions on the side, and that would be a minimal cost to the city. Overall, though, I see that there's going to be a dramatic savings, but I do want to make note, though, that there are going to be some existing copper lines that remain. Unfortunately, codes require it. If there's a fire system inside or there's an alarm system inside, they have to be on copper lines. They cannot be on this fiber line. And then there are those nasty OPX lines that I just have this odd feeling in the back of my mind that some of them are going to have to stay. That said, on a positive note, there are others that can go. And we found some sleeping DSL lines that are kind of high-speed internet that don't do anything. And I think everybody would be happy if we just cut that line and said goodnight to it. I think that would be very positive. Other questions I can answer for you guys?
I did have one question. In the RFQ, it says the vendor shall be responsible for providing all necessary licenses to be utilized under MITEL 5000. Then Orion responds that they are not licensed MITEL providers. So is that being worked out?
Yeah, ITP will be the one that would be actually taking care of all the licensing on the MITEL 5000 series. For every fax machine that we add on, there's what's called an ATA card that has to go inside. It allows us to transmit data over an Ethernet cable and go over the high-speed internet rather than a copper line. And those licenses are approximately $150 per license. And then we have to do a couple increases on the actual license to go from an analog telephone system to a digital telephone system. And I can't remember exactly what the number is, but I thought it was somewhere around $700 for that license.
Brad, I see we have the installation for ITP costs and for also Orion.
Mm-hmm.
What is going to be the monthly fee for ITP? Okay, how does that work?
Well, once you get into digital internet and digital phone, internet and phone, when you're going into these higher end options or next generation, there is nothing for fees. And that's really the advantage of having the MITEL 5000 phone system. I've never worked with ITP until I really came here and started working with 911. I worked with a different phone system. And it's funny, between the gentleman that owned this and my dad, there's 100 years of combined experience in the workforce. And the guy would tell me, I had asked him, what phone system should I put in? He said, MITEL. I said, okay, if I don't put in that, what should I put in? ShoreTel, Cisco? He said, oh, MITEL. I said, why? He said, because in 20 years from now, you're still going to be looking at it, it's going to just work. And I said, well, what's your upkeep on it? He said, nothing. Once in a while they call me, but that's it. And that's what you guys have. You're very lucky on that system. They are very low maintenance cost system. Now, tomorrow it's going to get hit by lightning. But I feel very confident in the upkeep on that being minimal. Now, the city does have current existing contracts and does pay labor for network upkeep. And you might see that go up, because the second we start playing the network game, you do see an increase on the network maintenance. But overall, the price that you're going to save, it's it exceeds what you're gonna be spending to continue these copper lines. Yeah.
Alright. Any more questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
How long has this quote before, been there nothing budgeted for this?
Ariana?
Has funding, funding been?
Yeah. So Ariane, I want to say it has a 60 or 90 day quote price on the contract. The nice thing about Ariane is if we say, hey, we can't afford to do it right now, I really feel good that they're going to come back and say, let's push it down. The encouragement on the Ariane contract is we're going to see an ROI within about a year to 2 years, depending on what those OPX lines do to us. I was really hoping to give you guys an 8-month ROI and be done before the end of the fiscal year when we first started talking about it. And those OPX lines are getting in the way of just that. The ITP part, I don't have an answer for you. As far as how fast ROI goes for that initial investment, that's I won't lie to you, that's a hefty price tag of $11,000. But it is what it is. I think ITP though would be a company that we could approach and say, if you chose to, if you wanted to push it back for 6 months, year, whatever it is, I think they'd be more than willing to work with us as a community in the city. Is that kind of answer?
Right. Funding is always an issue.
Yeah, everybody's always going to say, if you don't take the quote right now, we're going to raise our prices on you, and I think that's just the mercy of the market. What I saw between here and Cedar County when I helped implement that system, there wasn't a massive price difference or price fluctuation. They went the business. And we've already done one quote-unquote extension when I first spoke to Ron from Ariane quite a while ago, and the price change was 0. Other one. Looked like you got something from Raylene.
Well, I'm just thinking, so are we gonna have to make this motion on the approval of funds being available? Is
That would
what
work.
we're looking at?
That would work.
Well, forgive me, would you even want to make a motion? The second we enter into a contract, you're at 120 days now. And that's it.
But, so we can table it though, if you'd rather do that, and then we look at the dollars and cents.
Well, do we have to enter into the contract right away if we approve this? I mean, that's why I say pending availability of funds.
You could do it, I mean, you can make an approval contingent upon
When we find the funds, then the
sufficient
contract
funding.
can be entered into. Is that acceptable?
And that would be a different action of council or the new budget approval. Either the budget amendment or the budget approval.
He's the knowledgeable one here. I just know computers.
So I will ask for that then. Is there a motion to approve this contingent on the budget having the money allowed for this? Did that make sense?
Yes, and we'd want to look at this, there's 2 actions in the agenda, so I'll have to take them one at a time.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So
Thanks, Brad. If we would table this till March when we do our budget, then we'd be within a time frame to go ahead with the 120 days, right?
Can be, sure. And one thing I might ask for in lieu of a contingent approval would be some notion of the council that they find these contracts acceptable and wish to move forward with finalizing the details, as Brad talked about, where we sit down with the engineers from ITP and Orion and make sure that we're all squared up so that they know they're not just spinning their tires. That would be we like the idea motion.
Well, I like the idea of saving,
$1,000 a month?
$1,000 a month
Yeah.
is nice, yeah.
I do have another question for you though, Brad. With the other 2 quote-unquote 2 or 3 projects, would there be a timeline that would have to be done on that?
That's really up to you guys on what you want to do. I think that there's a return on investment that can be made. Those are slower ones. But if we are going to consider interconnectability and true use of the entire infrastructure that the city already has in place, the fiber, the servers, the phone system, we should go there and definitely consider that. The other thing, really looking at a 5-year plan, the city has this great fiber. You're one of the few places that have it. The spot that the city fails at is this fiber has no backhaul to it. So if I cut one end of it, that's it. You're just shut down. The next step will be to put a backhaul between 2 different areas, so you essentially make a big ring. And if you cut one side, the other side stays up and everything just backhauls into it. Working with the library and such would probably help mitigate that. Now, that said though, you're too, when we look at critical infrastructure, as much as I hate to say it, I look at what are the 2 pieces we could afford to lose. And if we lost their phones or their internet, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I tell you, your pool and your library, you're okay. You can cut my phone line, I probably get a lot more done. But you probably want our stuff to go off. Same with the fire station. And I think City Hall would motion us for cutting their phone line to be happy. I think it's something that needs to be considered, but I would sure wait till another budget cycle to begin such a project. The other ones I would really encourage you to look at, because I think you could begin the cost savings fairly quickly, knowing that there's that 120-day waiting period there.
Yeah, thanks. All right, then, motion to approve contingent on funds being available.
I would make that motion.
Boots with the first,
Second.
and Leeper with the second.
Leeper.
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
Boots.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Spear.
All right, and then to the next one, which is dovetails from the second one, which is a proposal from Ariane, which I'm going to assume that we'll want to have the same type of motion, contingent on funds being available. Is there a motion for that? McNeil with the first, and Leeper with the second.
McNeil. Boots.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Spear.
Yes.
Leeper.
Yes.
All right, so those have passed for the most part. Next up is authorization to purchase a garage hoist for Central Garage from Tipton, Napa. Steve?
Well, just by way of review, this is something that we budgeted for this year, but we only got half the money in the budget this year. We thought it would probably be a 2-year accumulation to get enough money to buy this hoist. It lists for over $16,000, and they went on sale for $74 something. An opportunity, I think, for us to really save the city a lot of money. And I had already penciled in the other half of this hoist in next year's budget. I'm going back to my budget documents that I'm preparing for next year. And then this thing came up for sale, and it's really something the place can utilize. He uses blocks of wood right now to run the trucks up on, so he can get underneath them to do some of the work. The only thing that we would like to do additionally with this hoist, this is when you drive up on with big, our dump trucks or the ambulances, for example. Next year, we want to add a 3,000-pound jack to go underneath this so we can lift the wheels off those tracks. So that if you need to do some work on wheels or whatever, that would be something that we do next year. But it's a great opportunity to get a piece of equipment at half of what we thought we were going to have to pay for it. And we do have room for it. We designed a shop for it. Clay and the guys have rearranged the shop this last week, to make it more efficient and seeing where that would fit. And as we all know, Clay does a great job and maintains these vehicles, along with the fire trucks and some of the garbage trucks. We can't lift those, but we can run those up on these ramps so that they're higher, and we can get underneath them with oil pans and do brake work and that kind of thing up on those ramps. So I think it's a needed piece of equipment. We've been kind of pointing towards for quite a while, and just kind of jumped out at us last month, and here's where we're at. So any questions on that? I think the write-up was probably better than my presentation here tonight.
All right. there a motion to approve or deny?
I'll make a motion to approve it because safety first.
Mm-hmm.
That's my reason.
All right, Leaper with the first.
If I was that man right back there, I wouldn't want to get under the one they got now. I would be refused.
Leaper with
because
the
of
first.
safety.
And McNeil with the second.
Boots,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil.
Yes.
All right, so that has been passed. Is there a timeline on install of it?
As soon as it comes, we'll install it.
All right, so then now to the reports to be received and filed, the director's reports.
This is actually a report that was presented last month, but wasn't on the agenda, so we're putting on the agenda so it can be officially accepted by the council this meeting. Unless Mr. has something to add.
All right.
These are
Yeah. And then the Tipton Police Department stats report for the last calendar year, and then a DNR sanitary systems survey.
Just a
Chief
quick,
Shepherd.
quick update, I think you have these in your packet. The last time I gave you an update, it was only through September maybe, or the beginning of October. On there, it shows a total of 90 arrests for your adults and juveniles. Juveniles are charged with a complaint form, they're not actually taken to jail, but it's considered a juvenile arrest. But of those 90 arrests, I didn't put it down there that there were 113 individual charges. So somebody that got arrested might have had 2 or 3 charges. So we had 113 individual charges, but 90 people were charged and arrested. So if you had any other questions, I know at one time there was a question about traffic, concern that we weren't doing enough traffic. Our traffic stops for the year were 531 traffic stops. I don't have our citation, how many citations were written, because we have the program to transfer our track citations into our Shieldware, but Trax is still updating. So as soon as they're done with their updates, then that will be a smooth transition, and Connie no longer puts our citations into the computer. We can just hit a button and they go over. So I don't have the citation, but we did do 531 traffic stops. And something that might be confusing, our calls for service, dispatch shows our calls for service 2,761 calls for service. There's another sheet that shows our business checks. Business checks are just when the guys go or any of us, when we go to a business, to the school. It doesn't show up as a call for service. It shows up as a change in status. So that's why on that last page, I just added, we had 2,032 business checks. So besides the calls for service, we had those business checks, which makes it 4,793 actual calls, which is about averaging 13 different calls a day in a 24-hour. So if you don't have any other questions, I just wanted to explain a couple of those things.
Lisa, I was just curious, there's an SWO on here that has 200 names. What's the SWO?
SWO.
Right, above the tests and traffic.
Oh, speak with officer.
Okay.
So when people call in, it could be anything from, there's a bat in my house, to I got a ticket, why? That's a,
Okay.
I couldn't even break it down any further. So, okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay.
Thank you much.
Thanks, Lisa.
All right, motion to receive and file these reports.
So moved.
Anderson with the first,
I'll second.
and Spear with the second.
Anderson,
Yes.
Spear,
Yes.
Leeper,
Yes.
McNeil, Boots.
Yes.
All right, so those will be received and filed, and then moving on to discussion items, which is Christmas decorations for the year 2017. Ms. Beck?
Hello.
Well, I've been doing a little bit of research since the last time that, or a couple of times ago, when there was concern about the lack of beauty downtown. And I did call Temple about what their policy is when something's not working correctly. The last 6 snowflakes were ordered by Temple. And it's 6 years for the LED lights, and 3 years for the LED lights, and 6 years for the hardware. We did not purchase any of the others from Temple. So I have no idea. I don't know where we got the other snowflakes. So I did call them to see what kind of deal we could get to brighten our town up again. And what they ordered last time, I thought, let's try that again, because all of the snowflakes were a little bit different, just like when it snows, snowflakes are different. And if I ordered 6 snowflakes, all different sizes, with a 33% discount right now, it would cost $2,365.77. One of the things I wanted to do was the red bows to go on some of the garland. And I just looked at what was downtown, and there would be 18 small poles, and they would be 18-inch bows at a cost of $50 a piece. But with a discount of 33%, it's going to be less, and I'll tell you. And then I looked at, we need 3 of the poles that were installed north of the library. We need garland on those poles. So with the garland and the vinyl bows, with the discount, it would be $822.89 for a grand total, not counting shipping, because shipping is going to be on top of it. It would be $3,188.66 to get 6 more snowflakes, the 3 additional garland for the poles, and the bows, 18 bows for downtown. So I got to thinking again, if you would like for me to again apply for a grant through the Community Foundation, I will be very happy to do so, but I got to get on the stick. Because the grant is going to be due in February. All the applications are due in February. Another thing that I would do, and I did speak to the manager of Walmart, who is Dawn, and she is present. I will apply for another grant through Walmart, and that they begin taking applications for their grants in February. So I would have that application done as well. We can also solicit some money from individuals in our community. Now, with all of this, I can't guarantee any money because, one, I don't know if I will get a grant. I'm hoping that I would, and I'm thinking probably the committees would think that it was well worthy. But even if I solicit money from the community, I don't know how much money I will get. The bottom line is if I am to order this and get 33% off, which to me is significant, I need to do it right away. But I can't do things right away because I don't have the money in my pocket. And so I'm really in a dilemma here whether you want me to proceed, get the grant writings done, which I can probably have one of them done next week. And then the Walmart grant writing I will do probably the following week. But the Community Foundation, really I'm on a timeline right now, and I need to get that one done. We have nothing to lose except the 33%. So the longer we wait, the percentage goes down with Temple. And so I just want to know, I just want our citizens to know that we all of us took this, and we didn't take it lightly. You know, I think we're all on the same page that we want our community to be beautiful. I think our community is very beautiful. But we can do additional things, but it all comes at a cost. And so I'm just presenting this to you tonight. I will proceed as to however you ask me to, and we'll go from there.
How soon do you have to order?
I'm going to have, I think by March, I'm going to have to order this. But you know what? I can't remember off the top of my head. Because each month it seems like it's 33%, and then it's 25%, and then it's 20%, and then it's 0%. And yeah.
And do you think the chamber would be interested?
Well, I asked him at the last meeting, and I can ask that again at our next meeting, which is gonna be next Thursday. But at the last meeting, they were not interested in contributing. That doesn't mean they won't. I am happy to ask.
We received some money from Lions. Was that for the garland?
Yeah, we did. Yes, we
Was
did.
that was for the
Yep.
garland? Okay.
We
So-
did. We received, $5,000 from both grants. And then, I can't remember off the top of my head what it was with the garland. We had city employees contribute too, that, last time. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but we had city employees that gave money towards the garland too. And so that says a lot for them as well. So, but I just need to know what steps you want me to take with this.
How many lights were not put up?
40-some, 46 or so.
How many more lights can be fixed?
The lights that are left that we didn't get
Bad shape.
checked out look so bad that it would be an embarrassment to hang them up. They are so rusty.
And then I think
And
what we
lights aren't rust color.
And I think what we need to do is we need to be smart about it and have a rotation going on. That, that we are looking at this, that we don't ever get to a point like we are right now, where things are just in horrible shambles. And we look at it, and then instead of saying, I need 6, we say, I need 2. Because it is very expensive. But
So you're just looking for guidance on
I-
whether or not to go forward and
Yeah,
try to
what do you
find
want
the
me to
money?
do?
To
Yeah.
try to find money.
If you can start writing a grant right away for
Yeah.
part of it, how much?
and there's no
would you get from
guarantee.
the grant?
Well, what I would do probably, because the grand total is $3,575, a lot of times, Community Foundation, they want to match, so I would ask for half of that. But again, that doesn't mean you're gonna get half. You could, but you might get 0. It just depends. And then also with Walmart, I would probably ask for half again. Chances are that there's no guarantee that, I could possibly get maybe a couple thousand or more, but I don't know that. And like I say, I will be happy to solicit money, but I do not know, there they go. I don't know, I could get $20 doing that, or I could get 1,000, I don't know.
One of the suggestions that I was approached by one of the other people that were here that night talking about not being out was to, there are several beauty salons here in town. Okay, this individual has a beauty salon, and I said, put yourself a box in there for people to donate, and let the community be involved with it as well. We could also possibly go to the grocery store and have one put there. Go to Walmart and have one put there, a place where people could donate.
And I'm happy to do that, and I'm happy to pick it up and take the money to City Hall.
Sure. And then that way,
But I
the
don't know how much
community
money we're gonna
could be
get.
involved in it and stuff the box.
Everything helps, yeah, everything helps.
Yeah.
I just don't know, I can't plan, I wish it was in black and white that I could say, yes, I can get this X amount of dollars, but I can't. Not with one thing, I even mentioned tonight, not one guarantee can I get. But then I need to know, okay, am I supposed to proceed to buy this at a 33% discount, or lose the 33 and just kind of wait and see what happens? I don't know.
Lorna, did you?
Well, we're all about saving money here.
Yes.
My suggestion would be to let Linda go forward with this, and we can fund it through administrative service, internal service fund, and any money that we can donate, or that can be donated, or grants applied back to that.
Okay.
$3,000 is a lot easier to find than 12.
Yes. Yeah, and it doesn't include shipping. I want you to know that. So, I mean, that would be probably another $300, and we have no control over that. But I will go ahead and write the grants. I'll go ahead and get that done. I'll get the boxes ready, and I'll talk to different businesses. I will also put something in the paper that if anybody would like to contribute to, the Snowflake Fund, to send their money to City Hall, and then Lorna will get it in the account. But then my question is, and I don't even know if you can answer it now, is am I supposed to go ahead and order this or not? Because I'm not on the agenda.
That would have to be a subsequent agenda item and probably some searching to see what funds are available for that. Could be brought to the next meeting or a meeting thereafter. If you have until the end of February, maybe we look at the second meeting of February as sort of a deadline.
Yeah, I have probably till, I can't remember if it's February 15th, first of all, for a grant, which gives some time. I mean, it's February 15th or whatever, or it might be the 20th, I don't remember. But anyway, and I can talk to Temple to see if they'll hold on to that 33% for me, since we are a returning customer, to see if they would be, if they would do that for us. We'll get me on the agenda then next time, and by then I will have more answers.
All right,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, so now to the reports. I don't have anything new to report. Mr. Long?
Just to follow up that we are sorting through the 17 candidates for finance director and are looking at an interview date of January 27th, if that's the last Thursday of January. So that's coming up.
And anybody from the council? Committees? Department heads? Ms. Fletcher?
Tax rate levy didn't get put on the agenda. But this is a history of what we've, our increases since 2009. And I did do a little calculations to see if we would raise, I don't know if you guys had anything in mind. Oops, sorry. No, I didn't. What we had thought maybe we could do. I know there's been a lot of discussion about increasing the tax rate and cutting back on the transfers. So I calculated a quarter from last year. Last year was $13.36. This would be, well, it came up to $13.56, I guess. And that would get us another $50,000 of tax, which isn't a lot, but it would cut back on some of the transfers that we need to have from the utility accounts. So what I would kind of like to know is an idea, a consensus of what direction we can move, and any rate that you think would be workable, so I can continue to work on this budget amounts.
We'll get some numbers together for the next meeting.
All right, then. And we're down to the final one, which is adjournment. I believe. Is there a motion to adjourn? Boots with first.
Second.
And Leeper with the second.
Spear?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
McNeil? Boots? Yes. Anderson?
Yep. And this is adjourned.